On today's episode of Hidden History, we're going to look at this unique piece of luggage from a soldier at Fort Saginaw. Now, the U.S. 3rd Infantry had been ordered to construct a fort in Saginaw after the signing of the 1819 Treaty of Saginaw. The Secretary of War, John C. Calhoun, was worried about the protection of those lands because he wanted to spur migration to the region. So we know from that action that the Anishinaabe peoples were not comfortable, happy, okay with the cessation of their lands and their rights. So the infantry arrives and they begin construction of that fort in 1822. The following summer, though, most of the inhabitants of the fort were struck by malaria, because although they built the fort on higher ground, the marshes around would flood, and it was a perfect breeding ground for mosquitoes. And so nearly everyone was struck by malaria, including the owner of this piece of luggage, Lieutenant James Bowdoin Allen. It's good Massachusetts name, that's where he was from. We can tell a few things about this luggage. It's clearly finely crafted, made of cedar planks and an animal hide, possibly doeskin. That was reported in a newspaper to be doeskin. And we can see the detailing. These are brass tacks, and we see that it forms his initials, JBA. So we know the owner of this item. I'm going to just open this up for you to see the construction. So it sort of has a barrel-like construction. We can see it's rather rounded, which makes for a very nice cavity for holding and transporting your belongings if you're going across the country. This is an overall story of Western migration and the move for Western expansion. The fort was put in place so that white settlers would come from the east and begin to populate what is now the state of Michigan. As I said, the inhabitants were struck by malaria. James Allen passed away along with 8 other people in the summer of 1823. This was such a devastating illness that the Army abandoned the fort. And this trunk, along with James Allen's belongings, was sent back east to his brother. He had a twin brother, John J. Allen. Unfortunately, on the way, this trunk was robbed. So the contents didn't make it home, but the trunk itself was returned to his family. Later, interestingly, James Allen's niece, so his brother John's daughter, Jenny Whipple, eventually moves to Saginaw. After her father's death, and several years after her father's death, this trunk makes its way back to Saginaw in Jenny's care. And it's just a really interesting thing to think about how the trunk came at this beginning of Western expansion, and the Saginaw that Jenny Whipple lived in was very different. At that point, it was a vibrant and bustling city. Local historical societies and museums are always looking for unique items to add to their collections to help tell our stories. So if you think you have an item of historical significance, please reach out. We would love to hear from you. Thank you for joining me on this episode of Hidden History, and remember to visit your local historical society or museum.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, and subscribe. And make sure to click that bell icon to stay notified when we upload new content. Videos like this are only possible because of viewers like you. To help support this channel, click on the link in the description below. We'll see you next time.